Yeah, I want to give a quick overview of some of the tricks on bicycles, and like a lot of people don't realize some of these things. Now, just to get right from straight from the start, it's not always about even saving money. Believe it or not, this can be one of the more relaxing ways you can get to some place. It's only a few miles away. Now, my original mountain bike, I put 13,000 miles on it. 13,000 miles. It was like a Chevy, you know. So it's something I enjoyed, and a lot of times I'd feel like if I go out for a ride, I'd have all these problems. Just like if I go out for a run, there'd be all these problems, and I'd be like trying to figure out what the hell's the solution. By the time I came back from the ride or the run, I had the solution. So it's not a waste of time. It's amazing. Now, one thing that's the most important safety feature to me on a bicycle, I got an old broken mirror. I love this mirror because the way it's set up, it's broken, right? But it's just the part you see out of. I don't actually use this part. I use this part, and it's, let me put it this way. I don't know. I got used to using this. I never changed it. I never found one like this. I got that in Japan, actually. And it's got the two reflectors on the front, so classic. Anyway, but a mirror is something I always want because I like to see if cars are coming up behind me. Very, very important consideration. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to say this, if you're worried about weather, take a couple plastic bags with you. And these are actually standard bags you get in the supermarket. You can put them right in here in one bag here, and you can wear them. You can wear them under your shirt. Now, I actually fit in these little plastic bags that are from the supermarket. I use the two handles for the arm thing, and I rip out the bottom. And if there's like something happens where you're caught in weather, you can do this. You can do this, no problem. Now, as far as tires, now mountain bike is pretty bomb-proof. They're slow, but you know what? I'd recommend this for most people not going too far, using it for like transportation. I always get the ones that have like the center is smooth and you have the ribs on the outside. So if you hit some soft stuff, no problem. The other thing I'll do is I'll run flat stop liners in the tires. Now, I don't have some out here because I know I got extra ones, but they're already in the tires. It's a piece of plastic that goes between the tire and a tube. And it's like a rubberized plastic, so it's extra puncture proof. I always use them just on the rear. I really don't get flats. I've never really had flats practically ever. But the rear tire is the one that's more susceptible to the flats because there's a lot more weight on it. The other thing is you can use Kevlar tires. That's another thing. But when you have a mountain bike with tires like this, I don't know, you don't get flats. I've used the flat stop liners on the road bike with the 23 millimeter tires, and I've never had a problem actually having a flat. It was extremely rare. It'd be thousands of miles before I'd even get one. So even on a road bike, mountain bike, it's almost impossible with flat stop liners. Now the other thing is you can have a tube that like this. You don't need to carry an extra tube, but they have tubes that are thicker on one side. Now this tire weighs a ton in the back because it has flat stop liner and it has a special tube with a thicker side on one side. So it's like, you can run over bottles with this stuff. I broke whiskey bottles going about 30 miles an hour with this bike. Smashed them into obliteration, and I kept going. But I ride it's because it's fun, and like I said, it's a problem solver. You get your blood flowing, your brain works better. It's weird how aerobic activity and the things and problems you have to figure out work together. The other thing is, and I'll take this on my motorcycle too, but this is unclips. It's a pump, and pump up your tires. So I got a patch kit in here if you need it, but very rarely ever need it. Now I don't use this little red bottle because this is actually on a road bike, but I'll use a larger one on here. And this thing is so big and so much room in here, sometimes I'll put a 1 liter bottle in there from a Coke bottle or something like that, water bottle, no problem. The other thing I'd recommend, now there's a couple other things I'm going to go over that may be more unique. I'll get to that one right now. If you're using lighting on a bike, you can use stuff like this. This is a classic cat eye light. I have a few of these. You know what I do? I'm the only one I know that does this. This is a 3 battery mag light. This has a one of those LED bulbs in it you can't break. It's shockproof. If you notice, there's a radiator clamp on here. I'll clamp it on right here, and it's balanced, and you can focus this thing wide beams, short beam. You can bring it. I know it weighs a ton. I don't give a shit, to tell you the truth. A lot of people that worry about having tie parts on bikes, you have tie this, titanium that, they got like tons of body fat on them. So I mean, I don't know what to tell the tie parts are doing, but as you ride, you'll get rid of more weight. You'll get rid of the weight of the bike, as you know. So you want something good quality, but it doesn't have to be super lightweight either. You're not racing. But this thing is bomb proof. I love it. It's like your, I don't know, it's like your vehicle. So you can point it down, you can point it up, you can have a wide beam, short beam, whatever, because it adjusts. It's a mag light. It's bulletproof. The other thing is, you want to have a special tool. That's just for a motorcycle. I don't know. I know I have the other one, but I just didn't dig it out right now. But you want to have a chain brake tool. Chains will actually last a lot longer. But as the chain wears out, you find out the teeth on here start getting rounded. So you might have to change both the chain, and a lot of times you have to change this middle ring. So you need some tools to take things off. And you know, this is another one that you might need. These are cheap though. When you pop out this plastic cap, there's a 14mm bolt. What happens is you screw this in to thread this in, and then this turns. You know, you turn the lever, you can see this presses out, so that pulls out the lever. So if you got to change some gears on here, you usually have to change this middle chain ring. That's the one that wears out, or maybe change the cluster. But that's the deal. The other thing I recommend is gloves. Your hands will get numb. And you don't need special bicycle shoes, to tell you the truth. A lot of times you can use like regular shoes like this. I know your feet can get numb, but if you put liners in them, you put extra padded liners in them, that gives you another you know, bit of insulation. So a lot of times, sometimes I'll just use New Balance. Now if you're going on like a 50 or 100-mile road trip, you want to use actual bicycle shoes. But what I do is I always leave the pedals, foot straps loose, so you can get in there real easy. Like, of course it's hard to do here, but then I'll turn my foot to the side a little bit, and that blocks them in, so I can always get out of them. I never tighten them down. I always have them so I can get out of them real quick, yet they're tight when I'm lifting my legs up, because when you have your foot in here, if you have it at an angle, and you have it a little bit to the outside, it locks it in place. So it's the best of both worlds. You're not in there tight, and yet you can get out of them real quick, yet they're in there tight enough, your foot's in there tight enough, so you're lifting with the force of the up action. But like I said, you know, some of the things are very enjoyable with the bike, and you will clear your brain out and relax, believe it or not. Now I know American drivers aren't too used to dealing with bicycles and stuff like that. You know, it's in France, in Japan. I mean, they could drive like 6 inches away from you, and they're very skilled drivers, and they won't kill you because they're used to it, you know. Sounds a little crazy, but they could do it, you know. They're a speed racer. Now, another thing is glasses, because you got a lot of bugs, you know, things, road grime, car goes by, you get blasted a little bit, you know. So you always want some eye protection. I never wear a helmet. Sometimes I'll wear a cap because I don't like the sun in my eyes. That's the one thing. So I'll wear a cap. Maybe not this one, but another one, or a visor. I hate helmets. Now on a motorcycle I wear a helmet because the bugs going at 60 miles an hour feel like ball bearings. But on a bicycle, I don't know. I never wear one. Never. And then, I don't know, they say not to do that, but I've never had a problem, so whatever. And like I said, just on the first mountain bike I had, I put 13,000 miles on it. So I've done a lot of this, but I realized this, in my personal view, just want to pass on these few tips about the mag light, flat stop liners, but like in my personal view, this will clear your brain. In other words, you got all these complex problems going on. I don't know, I used to have problems I have to figure out in the office or something like that. You go out for a run, go out for a ride, come back an hour later, you have the answers. You got everything laid out, how you're going to attack the situations that feel like it's impossible. So this thing can actually serve two things. It could be, you know, so continued here. So this thing can actually serve two things. You could have less fuel being used. It could be some enjoyment. It could be some aggravation, yes, but don't think of it as something like, I got to ride this bicycle. You'll realize when you're riding a bicycle, there's a lot of things you see that you never noticed that you drove by a million times. It's like you're down to earth. It's almost like, I guess it's like the motorcycle. The other thing is, I like this pouch thing. This is a leather one. It's a pretty good one, but it's easy. When you're on a bike, you just really can't carry stuff in your pockets. Use this. It's excellent. So, an actual good bike, you got to make sure you have good enough components on it. And actually, there's a lot of variety in the stopping power of the brakes. You definitely do not want chrome rims. I always get 14 gauge stainless steel spokes. Make sure they're stainless steel. Don't go scrimping that kind of quality. And I don't even like the ones that are butted. Like, in other words, butted might be 14 gauge here, then 15 gauge, and goes down to 14 gauge. I get a straight 14 gauge, 36 spokes a wheel, no 32. And I also have the reflectors, which these weigh nothing, on a wheel like this. These show up very good at night. Another thing I do, this is an ultra long battery. This has very long battery life. It's a blinking light. It takes 2 N-size batteries. You can take it off so nobody rips it off or nothing. Usually they won't do that though. The other thing is, always carry a lock, even this cheap lock. Always. I don't give a damn if you're going in some place for 2 minutes. You think, oh, nobody's around. I always lock it. This is a cheap bicycle rack. It's probably one of those Walmart, Kmart things or something. I like it. It's been on here forever because it has the old spring bungee cord, and you can load this puppy down. I don't use the panels or nothing, but you can load this down. But I always kind of enjoyed it. I always kind of enjoyed it. Oh, and one other thing. Since I'm used to riding a motorcycle, you have the brake on the right side, right? This is set up with the brake on the right side. Now, on a road bike, I have the shifters on the down tube. So if you want to have your brake on the left side because you're shifting with your right hand. But on this bike, I actually use more often. I like this because it reminds me of the motorcycle. I don't want, most bicycles are set up with the front brake on the left side. I have the front brake on the right side, just like on a motorcycle. And that's your main braking power. So, but I just love riding, so that's part of it too. I like the aerobic activity. I like the running, and like I said, it clears the brain. So a lot of times people might be thinking, you ought to try it out. I would think this would be a very smart investment over, spending $500 or $600 on some other things, that people need. Because every time you take out a car during a cold weather or when it's warming up, you will use a couple bucks worth of gas to do 2 miles. And this thing, and you might find it relaxes you. Once you get used to it and you get down to tricks, you'll find it relaxes you and clears your brain, and it's healthy. So it's got a lot of good uses to it. So, but you have to get something that has good enough components in it that's going to last. Can't be cheap. It has to have good stopping power in the brakes. And I have this lightweight plastic fender, kind of modified and cut down a little bit, put it so it's a lot closer to the wheel. But in case you get a little rain or something, you don't get trashed. So, but I love it, to tell you the truth. I love it. Very relaxing in a lot of ways. Some ways it's aggravating, if you got a truck go by you, but most of the time it's relaxing.